Hey, what's going on, guys? And today I actually wanted to do a video review for the Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition ARCADE1UP cabinet. So in this video I'll just kind of go over some of the setup, talk a little bit about the arcade, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about some modifications that I actually made to this arcade. So I'm actually very familiar with ARCADE1UPs. I've been using these for several years now, and I have now 5 different ARCADE1UP cabinets. So this one is no exception to the list, but this is actually the only one that I've decided to modify. So we'll first start with installation, and then I'll get into some of the things that I decided to do to this particular cabinet. So starting out here, you have really a nice replica of what originally you would have seen in the 90s. It has all the fighters kind of going all along the border here around the screen. You have the nice Champion Edition kind of plaque here. This does not light up, so this is actually just wood. And then you have your simple on-off switch, player 1 and player 2. Normally the volume control is here, but I actually made a modification to this. And then you have all of your buttons. Everything is very clearly labeled, and your joysticks. More than enough room here to stand and play with 2 people. Depending on what you decide to get, usually this would come with the standard ARCADE1UP riser. You can always get this separately as need be. I do recommend doing that because typically if you don't have the riser, this isn't really going to be at good height. I'm about 5'10", and this really just sits right at my, pretty much right at my waist now that it's raised up. And if I didn't have that, I'd have to really be leaning down to use it. So I prefer these with the riser, and of course it looks nice with all these together with the risers. Now in terms of modifications, what I actually decided to do with this particular machine is I swapped out the joysticks, swapped out all of the buttons, and essentially added a special VGA board that allows me to use something like a mini PC or a Raspberry Pi, and then in theory I can customize this. So what I actually have set up here is I took out the back panel, and as you can see, currently I'm actually running a mini PC here. I was previously using this Raspberry Pi, but I'll push out the cabinet just a little bit. This essentially has a modified VGA board which has an aux input, and then I have these 2 small 2.1 speakers on either side as my sound, as opposed to the original speaker. And then I have an HDMI going into my mini PC, and then this basically is the power. So this whole board, it comes with this little switch too, so you can actually control this. I probably need to clean this up a little bit as it's just kind of hanging out, chilling here, but no real reason to do that if you don't want to. I also have the encoder boards back there with the modified joysticks, and additionally I added 2 buttons there, as you can see in the front, that allows me to get like a coin button or whatever other functionality I want from that, depending on what games I'm using. So I just have a single power strip here. This actually powers all of my machines. I'm going to go ahead and boot this up, and this might take a little bit, but I'll give you some idea of what to expect. You can see the light comes on here, and immediately upon boot, this essentially has a screen that runs in 5:4 aspect ratio. So you can see this is going to boot up just like a normal computer would. And another modification I actually made to this cabinet is I had the USB port added through the volume. Since the volume technically is now controlled through those speakers, I now have this here. So if I want to plug in a controller or a USB stick or anything, this essentially is just a USB connection going into the mini PC. So I don't have to go back there to do that. Currently I have this booting up into Windows, and then after a few seconds it actually automatically loads a retro front end called CoinOps, and CoinOps has several different builds that you can get, but I actually found this fighter build, and this one's really cool because it includes many of the Street Fighter games that normally would have been included, like Champion Edition, New Challengers, and Turbo. So I'm able to go through and actually add several other games. You can see here I have like Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, so on and so forth, and all of these I can simply load in with the modifications that I set up. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video review on this. I think if you're looking for the original cab, you're going to have all these classic games, but if you decide to modify it like what I did here, this is going to be even better and really creates an even better expansive experience. This mini PC can even run modern games, so if I wanted to run like Street Fighter 5 or even Street Fighter 6, or put Mortal Kombat 11 on here, they actually will all run at low resolution, like 720 1080p, basically no problem. So really, really cool opportunity here if you do decide to modify this as well. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video review. Hopefully you found it helpful, and I will talk to you later.